listening to This Week in Big Sky Basketball as we take you around the conference for all the latest in Big Sky hoops. Now, here's your host, Scott Garrard.
Welcome on in. It's another edition of This Week in Big Sky Basketball. Yeah, just another day at the office for Big Sky hoops. We're talking multiple overtimes, upsets, comebacks, and we're going to break it all down. All right, Montana State forward Riley Nordgaard will join us in our first segment. We'll chat with Riley here in a bit, followed up by Sacramento State coach Brian Katz. Then Kevaney Martin from College Insiders will join us once again in our final segment. Let's recap with another busy weekend in Big Sky women's basketball. First off, Montana State went 2-0 with the wins over Portland State and Sacramento State. Then Montana getting off a 4-game slide, sweeping the Vikings and then the Hornets. North Dakota extended its winning streak to 6 games with close wins over Idaho State and Weber State. Eastern Washington able to fend off Northern Arizona and Southern Utah, with Idaho picking up comfortable wins over the Lumberjacks and the Thunderbirds. Weber State with a 3-overtime victory over Northern Colorado on Thursday before falling to the Fighting Hawks in overtime on Saturday. Northern Colorado picked up a road win over Idaho State on Saturday. The way it sits right now, if the season ended today, Eastern Washington, Montana State, Idaho, and Weber State would be your top 4 seeds, with North Dakota a half game back behind the Wildcats. Time to announce this week's Player of the Week in Big Sky women's basketball. The honor goes to Alicia Sims, who averaged 23 points on 63% shooting, 15.5 rebounds to lead Montana to home court victories over Sacramento State and Portland State. All right, let's go out to the phones. Welcome in Montana State forward Riley Nordgaard. Riley, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Doing awesome. Let's start with the success that you had this season. 10-1. You're tied for the lead in the conference. What's been the keys to all the success that you've been having so far this season?
You know, I think I would attribute our success to a lot of different factors. We have this is one of the most talented squads I think I've ever played on in my career, and when I say squad, I mean coaches included, and fans and community, and just all in all, I think the togetherness that we have allows for us to succeed pretty well.
Your only one loss was to Eastern Washington. That was all the way back in January. What does that loss teach you about your team, and how proud were you in the ability of your squad to respond from that game?
Absolutely. I definitely never hoped to lose, but I think we've learned so much from that game and that adversity. And from that point, we kind of hit the ground running and had to adjust some things and fix some things. And so from there, I'm just proud with the way we responded. Absolutely.
You're transferring to the program. Talk us a little bit through the process of how you ended up becoming a Bobcat.
Sure. I graduated from a small high school in southwestern Minnesota and ended up going just an hour and a half down the interstate to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Played for the Augustana Vikings, a Division II college there. And halfway through my career, I wanted to see if there was more opportunities. And Coach Ben called me up, and I found my way to Bozeman.
How's it been like for you in that community?
You know, the redshirt year was tough, sitting out in the middle, but you learn a lot, and it only makes you, I think, a stronger person and a stronger player. So it's been great. I've really enjoyed my time. I feel really thankful to be a Bobcat.
That's awesome. You're coached by a former WNBA star and an NBA Hall of Famer. What's that like for you?
Oh, that's pretty cool. That coaching resume is astounding, and I think that's one of the things that really was a positive factor in my transition here to Bozeman was Coach Ben and all of the basketball knowledge that he does have. And like you say, it's not too bad to be coached by John Stockton either.
Yeah, not bad at all. What's it like in practice? Is he overly involved? Take us through a normal practice, because we record the show out of Salt Lake City, so a lot of people are kind of curious about what number 12 is like as a coach.
Absolutely. John's a very, very succinct sort of personality. He's very direct in the way he talks to you, and I think Lindsay has said it before. There's not much fluff, but no, John is definitely more on the sideline, and Coach Ben runs her practice the way she sees fit, and Coach Stockton will provide input, when necessary. But all in all, I just think the combination really works well.
You guys go on the road this weekend. You're going to be taking on Northern Arizona and Southern Utah. First off, before we talk about these games coming up, do you enjoy kind of getting away from maybe home a little bit and kind of having a chance to bond with your teammates on the road? Is that good for team chemistry?
I really really would think it is. It's also nice to get away from class every now and then.
See, I wasn't going to say that part, but yeah, I kind of agree with you. I'm sure that would be a fun part.
But no, it's cool. You get to see a lot of places. You get to see a lot of airports, a lot of hotels. But no, that downtime, you get to know your teammates in a way that is a little bit more personal than just the daily grind. So, yeah, it's a fun experience.
So let's put your coaching hat on this for this trip coming up. What do you need to do to get wins against Northern Arizona and Southern Utah this weekend?
I think we just need to do what we do. I really do think that we need to focus on tempo, on tenacity, on determination, and just not quitting on any plays, and obviously on not any games. But no, I really think it's an effort thing, and just keep focusing on getting better and improving, and I think that should do the thing.
Final question before we let you go. Everybody's fired up for the road to Reno to see these conference tournament games come to Reno under one roof on a neutral site. How excited is this team for a chance to showcase their abilities on that kind of stage? And then, frankly, is trying to hold a spot as one of those top 4 seeds.
We had the opportunity early in the year. We played a game down in Reno, so we got to actually see the facility, and it's going to be a cool tournament experience, and I am so looking forward to it. And then you talk about wanting that by those top 4 seed, and I just think you take it a game at a time. You got to go 1-0 every time you step on the floor, and so I think we're definitely not counting our eggs before they hatch. We know we got to get 2 big road wins this weekend, and that's what I'm focused on at this point.
That was a very coach-like answer. Good job by you. That was impressive.
Hey, thanks.
Well, Riley, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
All right. Big thanks to her for joining us here on This Week in Big Sky Basketball. Riley Nordgaard, as Montana State, Eastern Washington, both tied atop the leaderboard of the conference at 10-1 overall. All right. Coming up next, we continue on here on This Week in Big Sky Basketball. We'll switch over to the men's side, chat with Sacramento State head coach Brian Katz. It's all straight ahead on This Week in Big Sky Hoops. A new era has come to Big Sky Conference basketball. 24 teams will invade the Reno Event Center on March 7th. Make plans to join us in Reno, where you'll be the witness to all the basketball madness you can handle. Tickets are on sale now. Visit www.roadtoreno.com to get all the details on how you can join your team on the road to Reno.
You're listening to This Week in Big Sky Basketball.
Welcome on back. Segment number 2 here on This Week in Big Sky Basketball. I'm Scott Garrard. All right, Big Sky fans, now is the time to buy your tickets for the 2016 Big Sky Championships in Reno. Visit roadtoreno.com to buy your tickets and get information on hotel accommodations. Also, stay up to date with everything happening in Big Sky Basketball. Again, visit roadtoreno.com. All right, let's look at what happened this past weekend in Big Sky Conference on the men's side. First off, Eastern Washington continued its climb up the standings with wins over Northern Arizona and Southern Utah. Also, North Dakota down Weber State and Idaho State. Idaho picked up a double-digit win at Southern Utah before falling late to Northern Arizona. Then Portland State down Montana State before falling to Montana. Bobcats got a win over Sacramento State, while Idaho State fell at North Dakota before getting a win at Northern Colorado. As for the 2 at the top, Montana lost a road game at Sacramento State, while Weber State earned a win at Northern Colorado, again before falling to North Dakota. So if the season were to end today, Montana would be your 1 seed, Weber State the 2 seed, and Eastern Washington and North Dakota would be tied for your 3rd and 4th seeds. Your Big Sky Men's Player of the Week, that's North Dakota. Quentin Hooker led the Fighting Hawks to a 2-0 record last week and has them fighting for a top 4 seed on the road to Reno. With that, let's go out to the phones. Welcome in Sacramento State head coach Brian Katz. Coach, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. You guys have played every conference game without the services of a starter due to injury. That includes your 4th-year senior and team co-captain Cody Demps missing 9 straight games. How have you been able to handle that adversity throughout the course of the season?
I really don't know. We've tried to battle through it. I think our kids have been resilient and fought and given us a chance in every game. But injuries are part of the game. I look at last year, Eastern had 2 starters out, missed significant games, Tyler Harvey and Venky Joyce, and yet they were still able to win. And then I remember back when Montana had some guys out, Will Cherry, Kareem Jabbar, they were able to win. So I don't know that we've handled it that great. Our attitude's been great. Kids have tried like heck, but injuries are part of it, and you just got to play through it. And you got to try to get better.
You currently start 3 sophomores. You have a true freshman that comes off the bench as your 6th man. I got to imagine as a coach that may lead to a few gray hairs, but down the future, I'm sure that playing time is going to pay some dividends.
You hope so. We hope so. I mean, I'm really. Somebody asked me that the other day. They said, "Oh man, next year," and I go, "I'm not thinking about next year. We're thinking about right now, and we still think we have a chance." So that's how that goes.
Thursday's 83-79 win against Montana. Your team erased a 20-point second-half deficit to beat the Grizzlies. Talk us through that game a little bit, because you talk about your team's attitude and how you like it. I got to imagine that was probably one of the main reasons they were able to come from behind and win.
I think we've won 4 games this year, or at least 3. Maybe 4 when we were down double digits in the second half. I know at Seattle, at Arizona State, home against Montana, and I believe when we played Davis here, we were down double digits in the second half. So our team has a lot of fight, and that's always what you want to start with. You always want to start with that.
Are you able to identify that when you're recruiting a kid?
We really try to. I think we all do as coaches. We really try to identify that. What kid is, if you will, unflappable? Is he going to stay the course regardless of what's going on around him? It's not an exact science. We try to identify it. We're not always right, but
yeah.
They always say recruiting's an inexact science, and oh boy, are they right.
No doubt about it. Justin Strings and guard Marcus Graves, obviously 2 of your top 3 scorers, top 3 scoring sophomores in the conference. Talk a little bit about their maturation process and what you've seen from them.
Yeah, last year we had 8 returning players. They were all veteran guys, so there was really no room for those guys to get minutes. In a typical year, they would have played as freshmen somewhat, but there was just no minutes. We felt, watch them in practice, they were pretty good, but no one really knew that. So now they're getting a chance to play, and they're kind of showing what we saw in practice every day last year.
What does your team need to do as you look at this, last part of the conference schedule? You feel obviously really confident that your team can fight and find a way to improve their standing in the conference race. What do you need to do to make sure that you can achieve those goals?
We have not been a great rebounding team. At times, we're okay. We actually out-rebounded Montana the other night, but I think rebounding is a real key. Montana State had 19 offensive boards on us. Now, they're a heck of a offensive rebounding team. I think they average 13 a game, which leads the conference, which is tremendous. Kids play really hard, but I would say rebounding, number 1. That would be the big thing. And then, just kind of executing down the stretch under pressure when it matters.
Mm-hmm. Now, I've got some notes here that say that you're quite an early riser. Are you a 3 a.m. kind of guy?
3 or 4. Some days 4, some days 3. Yeah, it just depends. I mean, you're at a point when you wake up and you figure out, well, I'm not going back to sleep, so I might as well go to work.
You might as well get busy, huh?
Yeah.
Well, Coach,
whatever.
We appreciate it. Thanks for joining us. Good luck the rest of the way. We look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Hey, I really appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much.
You got it. Great stuff. Sacramento State head coach Brian Katz. We're going to take a quick break, come back, and then we'll talk with College Insider's Kevaney Martin. Also give you a full schedule of the games coming up this week. It's all straight ahead here on This Week in Big Sky Basketball. A new era has come to Big Sky Conference basketball. 24 teams will invade the Reno Event Center on March 7th. Make plans to join us in Reno, where you'll be the witness to all the basketball madness you can handle. Tickets are on sale now. Visit www.roadtoreno.com to get all the details on how you can join your team on the Road to Reno.
Now, back to This Week in Big Sky Basketball.
All right, welcome back. Final segment of the show here on This Week in Big Sky Basketball. I'm Scott Garrard. Kevaney Martin of College Insiders will join us here in a moment. But first, let's take a look at this week's upcoming schedule in both Big Sky men's and women's basketball. Let's start on the men's side. Weber State and Idaho State host Portland State and Sacramento State. Also, Montana and Montana State will host Southern Utah and Northern Arizona. Then Idaho and Eastern Washington host Northern Colorado and North Dakota. Then on the women's side, Eastern Washington and Idaho will travel to Northern Colorado and North Dakota, while Weber State and Idaho State will see Sacramento State and Portland State. Montana State and Montana will travel south to take on Northern Arizona and Southern Utah. Remember, you can watch every single Big Sky Conference game online for free. Watch BigSky.com. Games are available for free, high definition. You can catch it on your smartphone, tablet, laptop, desktop. Again, watch BigSky.com. One of our favorites joins us now once again here on This Week in Big Sky Hoops, Kevaney Martin. Kevaney, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I got to imagine this is a fun time of year there for you guys over at College Insiders. We're down the home stretch as a lot of these conference races are starting to button up a little bit.
Yes, we have the countdown. We're very excited.
All right, so let's talk about some of these games coming up this weekend. Montana State and Eastern Washington, two teams battling each other near the top of the conference. Idaho's a game behind. Do you like this kind of a situation for a conference race when you've got a bunch of people in there trying to battle for a chance to represent their team as a regular season conference champ?
Definitely. I mean, you always love to see teams string together some wins and get hot, especially late in the season. And on the reverse, everyone loves a good upset. And with front runners, it gives it an opportunity for one to happen. We saw one back on January 28th when Portland State beat Eastern Washington. So it's always good to see teams get hot late in the season, and it's definitely very exciting to see them, string some wins together. And like I said, maybe see an underdog pull off an upset.
Unfortunately, though, this is the time of year, long season, where injuries start to play a factor. Weber State's dealing with an injury with Regina Okoye. Lindsey Stockton has missed some time with Saturday's game against Sacramento State with a concussion. As a player, when you have that injured teammate, how much does that play into the race, and how much does that enter into the mindset of a lot of these players?
Yeah, it's huge, especially, as you said, an impact player. There's obviously a huge void to fill in regards to the stats, rebounding points, assists, all of that, but also the chemistry. You think about these players have been playing all year, and when one goes down this late in the season, it's hard to get that chemistry back. But as you said, injuries are a part of the game. So, the reserves have to be ready, and when their name is called, they have to be ready to fill that void. So it's definitely a huge factor, but I think especially at the Division I level, you should have 13 players across the board ready to go, even if they are reserves as opposed to the starters. When it's basically the next man up mentality, injuries are going to happen, especially this late in the season when bodies are worn down. So it's next man up mentality.
North Dakota, the hottest team in the Big Sky, currently on a 6-game winning streak. When a win streak gets to where it is for the Fighting Hawks, how hard is that as a member of that team to keep? I mean, does that start to get in your head where that streak starts to play in your mindset of we got to keep this streak going, or does it sometimes become a distraction?
As much as teams say it doesn't, I think it does, and I think it's up to the coach, to keep things even keel. A win's a win, a loss is a loss at this point. You can't really get into the whole hype of stringing wins together. I mean, if you're on a streak, especially this late in the season, that's great. But it's the big thing is you don't want to take a loss too hard, especially it could be an emotional letdown. If you're 6-game win streak and you lose one, you don't want to be too down on yourself. You have to get up for the next game. And I think that's, teams this late in the season who are streaking, they definitely fear that, but they're also, they're winning for a reason. They're good, and they've strung these wins together, so their confidence level is also through the roof. So, yes, definitely, it gets in your mind, but you're a Division I athlete, so you have to keep battling through it.
You're Division I athlete, so deal with it, is essentially what you're saying.
Exactly.
Hey, let's go to the men's side. North Dakota and Idaho State have played really well as of late. Eastern Washington's also peaking. I think it's been fun because for so many years, and I mean no disrespect to these programs, but it's been Montana, Weber State. These have been kind of your flagship teams on the men's side in the Big Sky Conference. But you got some new people there challenging for the top with North Dakota, Idaho State, Eastern. I think this is fun for the conference to see some new faces start to challenge at the top of the standings.
Fun is the best word to use, because when you think about it, I mean, it's a sport. And as I said earlier, people not only love upsets, but they also love underdogs. And if you're a fan of the sport, you're going to cheer for that underdog. And it is just so fun and exciting to see these teams who've put in the hard work, who've put in the hours, and are finally getting, their day in the sunshine, as you said. It's beautiful, and it's fun to see, them finally competing at the top of the conference.
You're a national writer, Kevaney, so you get a lot of different conferences and teams to look at. What are your, 2 or 3 of your favorite storylines in the national landscape? I know I've asked you this before, but things change over, from week to week. What's garnering your interest right now on the national scene?
Well, you got to love what Dan Marley's doing down at Grand Canyon University. Just their 3rd year competing at the Division I level, and he has the Lopes rolling 20-4 right now, 7-2 in the WAC. That's awesome. And then Chris Beard at Little Rock, his first year as head coach there. I think they're on a 6-game win streak. They are rolling. They're first in the Sun Belt, 21-2. And I got to shout out my alma mater. Every week you ask me this, and I always go blank, and I get texts from Monmouth. That's where I went to school, and they're like, "How did you not shout us out?" Because they're one of the biggest storylines nationally. So I got to shout out my alma mater. King Rice has them rolling too. They're 19-5 and 11-2 in the MAC, and obviously the bench mob has been a huge story. So much fun to watch, and they're getting the notoriety that they deserve.
Well, I think we're going to start a new show this week in Monmouth basketball, and we can host that thing. Let's make that happen.
I love it. That sounds great.
Awesome. Hey, Kevaney, we appreciate it. Have fun the rest of the way. We look forward to catching up with you again here maybe in the next couple weeks or so.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
You got it. Kevaney Martin from College Insiders here on This Week in Big Sky Basketball. Big thanks to her. Also, big thanks to Austin Horton, who as always puts this show together, and executive producers from the Big Sky Conference, John Oglesby, as well as Jason Ashcraft. I'm Scott Garrard. Enjoy the games this weekend. We'll be back with you next week for another edition of This Week in Big Sky Basketball.